everybody, I'm Quinn.
I'm Scott. It's time for the Almost Friday show for June 9th, 2011. We've got a special kind of format for you. You're not going to see the regular segments because, as you know, it's a busy week. It's got E3, so all the big announcements in terms of the gaming world from Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo and all the game developers.
And we also had WWDC, which,
Yeah.
if you're an Apple fanboy, you've been eyes stuck on the screen for what's happening with iOS and OS X Lion, and, are we seeing new hardware, and what is iCloud? So we're going to have all kinds of information for you on both of those events. But we want to remind you that right now we are running a contest to win some nifty Manfrotto bags. So if you go to our website, almostfridayshow.com, and check out episode number 62, titled Win a Manfrotto Bag, so it should be pretty easy to find. You can see in the show notes the information of what you need to do in order to get yourself in the draw for some free Manfrotto stuff.
Yeah, so do it. Check it out. It's on Twitter and Facebook, so go to the site, check it out. They're really cool bags. You want to win them. They're very nice, and they're shiny and new.
And it's free.
Yeah.
So without further ado, it's time to go to Off the Press E3 edition. Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Press E3 edition. So lots of news from Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. We got some new software.
Yep.
Nintendo's got some new hardware.
Got lots and lots of awesome game trailers.
It's true.
So we're going to be talking about those a little bit later, but first we're going to talk about the big three in the order in which they appeared.
So Microsoft was first up.
Yep.
They've updated their operating system for the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of merged some Windows 8, Windows Phone 7 functionality and looks, as well as still incorporating the panel view that you've currently got in Xbox. They've also added a bunch of new features as well.
A lot of really cool features like YouTube.
Which, I'm surprised they were the last one to join that,
Yeah.
but it is nice to finally have it because Sony's implementation of YouTube is just terrible.
It's not terrible, it's mediocre at best. It's like the Apple TV, kind of mediocre at best.
Anyway. Hopefully they're going to do a better job of it.
Yes.
They've also brought Bing voice search, so if you've got a Kinect, you can now yell things at your TV for Bing to search for you, which just means that the police are going to be arriving at your door more often because of the loud discussions happening in your living room.
Unfortunately, I don't think you can order your Xbox to kill anyone yet, but we're hopefully seeing that in the next update.
Yeah. When the Kinect ends up getting, the little legs that it can move around on.
Another really cool feature that's not live yet in the States, which is kind of surprising, is live TV. So this is available in Europe and Australia right now.
Yeah, certain European countries are going to see this, which is the ability to get access to some live TV channels.
Not sure.
A couple right now, not a lot of them, but it's cool to see this kind of stuff rolling out. Microsoft's really making a play to have this Xbox be a full media center, and in some ways maybe replace your set-top box at some point.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that they're bringing that in.
Yep. There's also the Kinect Fun Labs. So these little tiny mini game type things, take a picture, make a frame, upload it to Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff.
Because they do have all that integration now,
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
They have a camera, it's connected to the internet, might as well do something cool with it, something fun for the kids. Or if you're having a party at your house, sweet pictures.
The thing I'm excited about is they've now moved to cloud game saves and cloud profile saves, which is really cool. I like to play a lot of first-person shooters, and a lot of them these days have a level-based system where you upgrade yourself and everything like that.
Well, even if you're just playing a racing game or something, you've collected 50 cars in your game, go over to a friend's house, he's got like the 5 starting cars. You're like, I don't want to play with this Volkswagen.
So, unfortunately, you could bring your Xbox Live profile over to someone else's console to play, but everything that you had was reset. So now they've integrated live game saves up into the cloud, so you can take your profile as well as all the information for your profile and use it at a friend's house, which I think is really cool. And I'm glad Microsoft's jump on this because it's definitely going to make playing with friends more fun.
Yeah, and a lot easier as well. And there's one little piece of hardware that they did announce. A new official Xbox steering wheel.
They had one a little while back.
Not a wheel.
Well, yes. They did have a steering wheel at around the initial launch. It lasted a couple years. It had some problems, and they stopped making it. And then everyone was relying on third-party ones, which weren't really as good.
Slash, a lot of places didn't have them.
It's true.
Don't have them in stock.
So Xbox is now making an official steering wheel.
To be released with Forza 4.
Yeah, and it's wireless too, which is nice.
Of course, yeah. So now moving on to Sony. Their big thing was, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But if you...
Arguably, they really did owe some apologies because
Yeah.
they messed up pretty bad. I mean, the PlayStation Network was down for over a month.
Yeah.
It was hacked more than once.
They dwelled on it a little bit too long in their presentation, but other than that...
Guys,
you know.
we still want to make games. Come on, play our
it's like,
system.
come
Yeah,
on.
all right.
This is supposed to be like a big celebration of your new stuff. Just apologize once, move on. So after their apology, they announced the PlayStation Vita, formerly known as the NGP.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. It's a new handheld device with
the
a
PSP2.
It's got like a 6-inch touchscreen or something like that.
6-inch
Um,
touchscreen. It's got all the analog buttons and stuff. It's got like a touch swipey pad thing on the back as well.
It's a pretty cool piece of hardware. They're touting that the performance levels of it are supposed to be pretty high.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
Pretty close, like almost PS3, but not quite.
Yeah.
But pretty damn close, apparently.
So, I mean, things like the iPhone have really become popular gaming tools, but if you really are looking for something a step above as far as performance and the games that you can play with it, this is definitely going to be something for you. I mean, it's definitely outperforming things like the 3DS and stuff like that. So if you are, a hardcore handheld gamer, this looks pretty promising.
Yeah. There's a Wi-Fi version and a Wi-Fi and 3G version. The American prices for the Wi-Fi version is $250. Wi-Fi 3G is $300 on AT&T.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see who they're going to be with in Canada.
Probably Rogers,
Yeah. Well, they already have the PlayStation phone. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
They also announced a new 3D television.
Monitor, 3D monitor.
Fair enough. Which is branded at being the 3D monitor for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's very well priced.
Yep, it's priced at about $500, but it's only 24 inches.
Yeah, so it is designed for someone who is, maybe using, a lot of people, because these monitors do HDMI, or these consoles do HDMI, a lot of people use these on their desktop, with their desktop computer setup. So I think it's ideal for someone who either is using it in a small space, in a bedroom or something like that, or someone who might be integrating it with their current computer setup. But they are bringing a relatively cost-effective 3D capable device, so that you can play a lot of the 3D capable games.
And what separates this monitor from other 3D devices is that if you're playing a multiplayer game, you know how you can do split screen and then you can accuse your friend of screen peeking or whatever. The way PlayStation has done split screen in this is that you each put on your 3D glasses and you each see something different on your screens.
Interesting.
Not in 3D, in 2D, because you're, seeing the two pictures type thing.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
I'm not sure how much that's needed, but it is
No.
it is neat to see the technology being used in more than just a three-dimensional
it's a cool
way.
concept. I know, like, some cars have that for passenger seat can see one thing, drivers can only see GPS. But, hey, now it's 3D and 2D and pretty cool.
So Nintendo had lots of big news.
I think they are the biggest news this year.
Yeah.
After a disappointing last year.
So they brought out the Wii U.
The sound that a fire engine makes.
Yes. Nintendo, I don't know who you hired to name your consoles, but adding one letter? What?
To be fair, Nintendo, Scott was saying this earlier, Nintendo doesn't really have a creative naming system.
It's true.
They have the entertainment system, the Super Entertainment System, and their 64-bit thing.
Entertainment system.
Yeah.
The Wii U's kind of interesting. The big thing about this is it's this new controller that you get, which has a 6-inch screen on it. And
6-inch touchscreen.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the controller actually doesn't have any processing power.
No.
It's just receiving a video signal from the TV. But what's interesting is that what you're seeing on that screen can be used in different ways than what you're getting on the television.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a multiplayer game, you might have 2 or 3 friends using regular Wiimotes because all their hardware is sort of cross-compatible.
Which is really cool. So all the accessories you've bought for your Wii, bring right over to the Wii U.
Which is really something in today's age that companies should strive for.
And all your old Wii games, Wii U. Unfortunately, no GameCube support, so...
But what's cool is you might be playing this multiplayer game. You got some friends using Wiimotes, and they see one angle up on the screen. And then if you're using the new Wii U remote, you'll get like a top-down view or a different angle or something like that, which might allow you to play differently based on the controller that you're using. And what's also cool is that you can play games independently on it. It does require that you're using the console. They wanted to stress that it wasn't a gaming device itself.
So as long
but
as
you
your
can do
console is
things
on,
like play Go or chess or things like that on that device. device using the console to send that signal, which is kind of cool as well.
And one more cool thing they showed was that the game you're playing on your TV, you can play it on your controller video thing. Because the way they showed it in the video is that you're playing a Mario game on your TV, and then someone else in the room wanted to watch baseball. So you just, pause the game, go down to a button, click it, and then your Mario game's on your new controller. It doesn't have a name yet. And then your TV is free for whoever wants to watch something else.
Now, what's also important to note is that the new Wii U is in fact a new piece of hardware, not just the controller. It is a new console, and the new console is basically a Wii on steroids. It's now touting graphic levels that are on par with what the Xbox 360 is putting out, which finally puts Nintendo back in the realm of being able to produce games for hardcore Nintendo fans.
And
now,
to actually back up this hardware, companies like EA and I think Ubisoft and Activision are actively going to be developing for this so that we can get some real games on the Wii U now.
And we did see some previews of the new Zelda game, and it does look quite stunning. So they are definitely pushing this new hardware, which is definitely a nice feature. So I'm excited. I like that Nintendo is a company that now has the ability to just make ridiculous things.
Oh yeah.
Like the Wii U is such at least the controller anyways, it's such a ridiculous concept. I mean, it's basically what the Dreamcast was doing, but way better.
Yeah.
And Nintendo can kind of be like, yeah, let's do it, because we're the company that makes a white obelisk brick, like it doesn't it's neat that Nintendo can do this kind of stuff and pull it off. Because I think if Xbox made this, everyone would kind of be like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But with Nintendo, it's like, you guys are kooky.
Well, that's their thing, right? It's a kooky, innovative, kind of not really aim for the hardcore people type thing.
Yeah.
So, and now we're going to move on to some game trailers that we're just going to talk about briefly. If you want to take a look at them, they'll be available on our show notes. And this is just stuff that I think is cool, you think is cool, and the rest of us think is kind of neat. So we're going to start with Star Wars: The Old Republic. Not a gameplay trailer, so it's a cool movie on its own.
Well, that was the thing, is that some people were kind of upset because this trailer made, I think Kotaku was saying that this trailer was, writing checks that the game wasn't going to be able to cash. Because this trailer looks great and the game isn't going to be that good.
It's not a trailer, it's the opening cinematic.
Yeah.
So that's like watching the World of Warcraft opening cinematic, and the game is drastically different.
Well, but the thing is that you look at games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, and their cinematic trailers are just as good as what the game ends up looking like.
This is different, though, because Star Wars: The Old Republic is a PC MMO, so they can't have super awesome graphics, or they're going to lose like 90% of their potential.
I guess.
Space.
Yeah, it's still a lot of hype, and then.
It's Star Wars. There's always hype.
I suppose.
Yeah.
So BioShock Infinite has also been announced, which is pretty cool. If you're a fan of the first BioShock, this one looks pretty spectacular.
Yep.
What was interesting was their mindset for this was not to just make a sequel to the original BioShock. They wanted to basically create a new world within the universe that was BioShock. So instead of, putting you underwater again, they're now in this completely new sky world that has all kinds of sort of
steampunky type thing.
Yeah, and you're using these sort of theme park rails to get around, and you've got this little slider hand tool. And the thing is, they've really tried to make it an open concept game. G4 was talking to one of the lead developers, and he was explaining that in the demo that's going to come out, there's this scene where you have to take down a Zeppelin, and you can sit there and you can just shoot at it, and you'll take it down eventually, but it's going to take a longer time. Or you can get up into the Zeppelin and start destroying it, and then the cool thing is you jump out, and as long as you hit one of those rails, you're just going to start sliding around the rail system.
Big roller coaster type
so
rails.
It's very an open world concept, and they've taken a lot of what the original one was, and then just thrown away that information so that they could build a new, fresh universe.
It's not dark anymore. It's really bright, but kind of creepy at the same time.
Yeah.
Speaking of open universe, Animal Crossing for the 3DS.
Sam now has to buy a 3DS.
No, I don't have to. It's more reason for me to buy a 3DS.
Sam's going to buy a 3DS now. Animal Crossing was really a big cult hit. Pretty interesting game.
Definitely made for the handheld. Not as practical on a console, just because it's one of those games where you pop in for a couple of minutes, do a thing, close it.
For sure.
When you're standing in line, pop in for a couple more minutes, So, gonna be pretty neat seeing it in 3D. Might hurt your eyes after the 2-hour mark. Just saying.
They've also announced a new Tomb Raider game, because apparently that franchise refuses to die.
It looks cool.
People like Lara Croft.
Yeah.
I'm also excited about the new Battlefield 3, I believe.
Yep.
It's looking pretty fantastic. But I am most excited for Call of Duty World at War 3 because it seems like every time they make a new game, they just ramp up the epicness.
Yeah.
So now it's taking
They
place...
kind of have to, too.
Well, it's true.
Because it's an FPS and an FPS and an FPS. You have to try to set your FPS apart from the other ones.
Yeah, so this new one's taking place in major cities, so it's still following the same Russian invading storyline. It picks up right where the second one leaves off, and you're fighting in Manhattan and in France and in Germany. Very large cityscapes, underground subway scenes.
I was listening to a podcast actually, and there's a guy that lives in London. He's like, "Oh my God, I was watching the trailer, and I used to work like right there. I can go fight in my old office."
Yeah, so they really did a good job making everything. I mean, the thing about Modern Warfare is that it is a very hyper-realistic game, very, very true life. And they're touting that this is, they've revamped their game engine, and now it's even more realistic. Explosions look more real. The physics are more real. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a pretty epic game.
That looks pretty cool.
Every Modern Warfare game, to some degree, has pushed the envelope a little bit farther. So it's going to be exciting to see what they bring out with that one.
Mm-hmm. So in the new releases this week, this is the only part of our show that's normal this week, we've got Super 8 coming to theaters.
Which is a J.J. Abrams film, so expect lots of lens
Steven
flare.
Spielberg.
Produced by Steven Spielberg. Looks pretty interesting. Story takes place around a train crash that has possibly an alien involved, and some kids that could have filmed it. And it's a J.J. Abrams film, so it's going to be interesting.
Yep.
So
it looks really cool. So.
It should be a good movie. You should go check it out.
There is also one coming from, I think, Sweden. It's called Troll Hunter. It's coming to North America this week. Not very many people have heard of it, so if you
probably a pretty limited release.
Yep, very limited release, but if you want to check it out, we have linked to its IMDb page on our show notes. It looks awesome.
On Blu-ray and DVD this week, we've got True Grit, which was a pretty awesome movie. Won a couple of Oscars.
Yep.
If you like westerns, it's a pretty solid western. We also have Sanctum, which
also available in 3D.
Yes, which was James Cameron's movie about going into
a sinkhole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Supposed to be pretty good 3D, but apparently not so great a movie.
No. We have Green Lantern Emerald Lights. We reviewed this last week, so if you want to check back on our last show for what we think of it, apparently we are in the minority here.
Oh, okay.
Of what we thought about it. Just from what I'm reading online.
Most people didn't like it?
Most people liked it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we kind of gave it, it's good, but not quite good reviews. But
I guess we were expecting more.
Yeah. And we also have Rubber coming on DVD and Blu-ray, which is a movie about a tire that gains sentience and then goes on a killing spree.
It looks fantastic. And if you're in for a sort of ridiculous indie film...
Yeah, it's a ridiculous
check
horror
it out.
comedy.
It's been getting all kinds of great reviews. And, it's a movie about a tire. And if it gets great reviews being a movie about a tire, there's something special going on.
Yep.
In games this week, we've got Infamous 2. Infamous 1 was one of the best-selling games on PlayStation 3.
It's also free right now, too.
Yes, if you were part of the PSN network shortage, then you can go and get Infamous 1 for free.
That's what I did.
And then play it, and then go try Infamous 2.
Yep.
Infamous 1 was one of those games that was sort of a reason to buy the PlayStation 3. Really great graphics, really interesting gameplay, pretty cool game all around.
We also have Red Faction Armageddon coming out this week.
Red Faction has been a really long-running series, so if you're a Red Faction fan, I'm sure you're going to want to pick up the new one, or at least try it out. We've also got Operation Flashpoint, which is another one of those tactical shooter games, but it's on the more hardcore level that, you get shot once and you die.
Yeah, it's kind of those
some people love it,
sit-and-wait
most people
type
find
games.
it frustrating, so...
Yeah. And we also have the Green Lantern game, Rise of the Manhunters, available on every console known to man, except for the PC.
And if you play it on the Wii, it doesn't look like Ryan Reynolds.
No.
Because they, can't... They don't have the cutting-edge technology
I bet it looks
to make
better
Ryan Reynolds' chiseled chest.
I bet it looks better on the 3DS. Just saying.
Probably.
Yep.
And that brings us to the end of Off the Press this week. Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Insight. It's our WWDC coverage.
Yes.
We're going to kick it off with OSX Lion.
So we got a peek at OSX Lion last year's WWDC, but it was very
Yes.
general.
It's talking about some of the core technologies they're going to be
Yeah.
implementing and some of the new features, but really didn't show a lot of that off.
Yeah. So basically, this is coming in July,
Yeah.
which is next month. They didn't give a date, but they said July. So.
Yeah, I'm expecting mid-July.
Yeah, probably. That's reasonable. So they went over. There's a pile. What did they say? Like 250 new features or something like
I
that.
think, yeah, 200 or 250.
So they went over the Big 10 in the keynote. A lot of the ones they didn't talk about were smaller little things that.
Although there is some interesting ones.
Oh, for sure, and as there was with iOS as well.
Yeah.
So big things in OS Lion, mission control.
Yeah, so Mission Control is their new update to Expose. I'm a big Expose user. I know Scott's not, and
No.
you know we kind of had this conversation because I'm really excited for Lion, and Scott's kind of so-so for Lion. And I think that the people that are going to be interested in Lion are the people that use a lot of Apple's navigational tools because they've made those better. But people that are more used to a Windows operating system where things are a little bit more utilitarian are going to
Or even if you're perfectly used to Snow Leopard or Leopard.
yeah, absolutely. You might find that most of these changes are rather insignificant. So I'm kind of excited because I'm a big guy for GUI. I like when things kind of get all touch sensitive and all that kind of stuff. So Mission Control is sort of this revamped version of Expose that now organizes things into different categories. So you're going to have like open apps at the top and then different groupings of, Safari windows or photos or things like that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. But it's integrating with the other stuff that they've put in, which is the Launchpad, which is their new app launching.
Which is more or less, think of it as I can bring up an iPad home screen on
That's pretty much
app,
it.
my Mac, pretty much.
As well as this new full screen browsing that they're doing. So they're implementing full screen capability. So the thing is, with Mission Control, you kind of can swipe between all the stuff. Everything's very multi-touch gesture supported.
That's the thing I did like about the way they implemented it is they went nuts with these giant trackpads we have on every Mac.
Yeah.
That, to be honest, there is multi-touch gestures, but a lot of them are useless.
Yeah.
Like pinch to zoom's annoying in browsing and stuff, but they actually put in a lot of cool ones, I think. Cause
so now you can swipe between the pages like you would if you were using an iPad, and you can kind of swipe between your open apps and stuff, which I think is pretty cool.
And it makes sense why you saw that standalone touchpad come out last year and things like that. So I think they're really all... If you were going to go that way with GUI, they've done it properly with full integration of multi-touch. And I think Apple's the people to implement multi-touch properly.
Well, it was funny because I read a tweet today where someone was like, well, Apple's tried so unsuccessfully to make a mouse, they've just given up on making mice. And
well, that's true. All of their mouse has been pretty awful.
Yeah. So, the thing is that it is an interesting, they're learning what people like about using the iPhone and the iPad and attempting to implement that so that the transition of coming into a program and using it the way you would with your iPad could hopefully make browsing the whole system easier. Although, Tom Merritt was pointing out that some things were actually backwards, in that in the iPad you pinch to zoom out of a set of photos, whereas when you pinch you're going to zoom into the photos on iPhoto, so some of this stuff might actually be counterintuitive if you've learned how to do it one way or the other.
Yeah, which could be interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, they're now talking about instant saves, or what are they calling it?
What do they call it? It's versions or something like autosave. It's built into the autosave feature.
Yeah.
Now this was a feature that I really want.
Yeah.
Okay, because autosave, not impressive. Every piece of software on Windows that's useful has autosave. A lot of Mac software has autosave.
Yeah.
So that's not, built in the OS, whatever, that's not important. But the fact that it autosaves at every change to a different revision.
Yes.
And not in a bad way, because there's software you can do this on Mac and Windows.
Yeah.
And then you end up with like 1,000 files, right? This still only shows you one file, but you can go into that file and do kind of like a time machine type thing.
Yeah.
And go back to all your revisions. And then seamlessly go, like, if I made 3 changes, I can go back, pull an image out of that, and just pop it back into my current
Which
revision.
is really cool. So you go back to a point that you were happy with, but you've added new content you need to have. You can pull stuff from the old version into the new version and then merge those 2 copies together.
And I imagine there's going to be search and compare functions and things like that. So that actually, baked into the OS, is going to be fantastic. And I have a thesis coming up in a couple years. You're damn right I'm going to be using that for that.
Well, the thing is that a lot of us have been using computers forever. Have always gotten the habit of just every time you type something important, Control S, Control S. And it's going to be nice to have to not worry about
it won't stop me by
It's
now,
true. It's all ingrained in us
It
now,
will be nice that if I forgot, I didn't really forget.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I think that was a cool feature. They revamped Mail.
They did, yes.
We are kind of out on whether it's better or worse. We have to play with it, I think.
It's true. They've taken the interface that was on the iPad and brought that over to the desktop, but then added more features. So to some degree, I'm happy with new features, like they now have a conversation view, which if you use Gmail, you'll be very familiar with that and probably like that it's there. But as Scott was saying, he uses Gmail but doesn't ever use the Gmail browser.
That is an option, so you can actually turn off the conversation view. So if you want it, it's there, and if you're an old stickler like me, you don't need to use it, which is good. They jacked up search.
They did
in Mail, which I'm actually excited for because the search in Mail right now is okay. Like it's not bad, but
it doesn't find things as accurately as it should.
Yeah, you know, I think if you're searching in subject line, you're usually safe.
But now you can do parameters, so you can search. You know, I'm searching for a message from Scott Champagne, and then I'm searching the body of the message for this text, and sort of narrow down your search field really easily.
And it looked really easy the way you do it. It just kind of drops down and says body or whatever. And so I think that search looks good. It looks a little harder if you have multiple inboxes that aren't in one. I think it looks a little harder to go in between them because the side views like the iPad, it's all messages.
Yeah. So we'll have to play with it to really.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, figure out whether it's good because both of us really like the native Mail app.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I think it's a good application altogether. So we'll see if these changes make it better or worse overall. They've also put in a new feature called AirDrop, which is kind of cool.
AirDrop's cool. Yeah.
What it does is if you've got other computers on your network, you can drag a file over to this AirDrop, and it'll pop up and show you the pictures of the people on the network, and you can just drop a file, and the other person's going to get a notification saying you're receiving this file. You click OK, and you receive it.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way to share content across people without being like, all right, navigate to their public Dropbox and then tell them that I put
which
it
doesn't
there.
work well on Windows or Mac.
Yeah.
Or really anything. I mean, file share networking's gotten easier, but it's not that easy. And I think that'll make things easier when, oh crap, I don't have a USB key, or do you want to run upstairs and get a USB key or whatever. The other thing is I really don't want this to be exploited, and it will be. I like the security features that they've got. You know, it pops up, do you want to do this from this person? You know that's going to get spoofed. But, you know, don't be an idiot when you're using it.
For sure.
Yeah.
If you're not expecting to receive a file.
And you can always go turn it off.
It's true, but I think it's a cool feature.
I agree, yeah.
You know,
easily implemented, too.
The thing was that what a lot of us realized from the keynote this year was that Apple basically stepped all over a bunch of independent app developers and said, these were all great ideas, let's make them ours.
On Mac and on iOS.
Now, the upside was they weren't going in and saying, here's new things we invented. They were really careful not to say they invented anything.
It's true. It was, the tone of the keynote was different.
It was kind of like, here's the features we now have.
Because in the last WWDC, Steve Jobs came out and said everything was magic.
Yes.
And then, you know, Apple's come up with all these amazing things. It didn't come across the same way.
There was a lot less...
it's, you know, we're bringing you this,
a lot
we're
less
bringing
magical
you this.
vocabulary.
Yeah, which, thank you, Steve, because you looked like an idiot last time. You know, oh, look at, when they did with the new iLife.
Yeah.
That was a ridiculous unveiling. Never do anything like that again. Ever.
So, you know, the thing is that things like AirDrop and stuff like that are technologies you could have got access to with applications. But again, you know, the conversation was, you know, some of these developers are upset because these ideas, you know, people aren't going to buy them now. But Apple's also sitting around going, these are really good things we should just have baked in to make our operating system better. And you can't argue with that mentality, especially if they're not, you know, directly stealing someone's code.
No, it's not like they're going to your app that they've downloaded and somehow unfurling the code and use. No, I mean, they're developing themselves. Apple has a lot of smart developers working there.
Absolutely.
You can tell by, you know, all their software is fairly, say maybe FaceTime is fairly thought through. So, you know. And then there's a pile of little features.
Yes.
Piles, full screen apps.
Which I think is pretty cool. I like
now, this is like, don't think, because, you know, you can't actually maximize in Mac. It's not just a maximize function.
No. What it's doing is it's modifying the UI of the program to use in a full screen.
So it's going to have to be an option baked into the software you're using. Not everything's going to support it.
Yeah, so you're going to see Apple programs initially supporting it, and then I'm sure third parties will start to code for it.
And you're going to see, this is really good for, you know, photo applications, video applications. Well, games already do it, but you know, you're not going to full screen. I mean, you could full screen Safari, I'm sure, but it's not really for that.
Yeah, it's
to immerse you kind of in your software, which.
And a couple of other features they didn't talk about that were pretty interesting. One of them is the new Windows Migration Assistant, which is pretty neat. Mac's had the Mac migration system for a long time. You bought a new Mac, you plug in your old one, it would sense everything, copy files over, set everything up like you would never stop using that Mac. So with a lot of people switching over to Mac, I mean, they're the most selling, most popular laptop right now. With a lot of people switching over from Windows to Mac, they've built this new Windows Migration Assistant, which I think is probably going to involve some software on the Windows side.
I imagine,
but it's going to, you know, grab your My Documents and pull things over and stuff like that, which is going to make that transition easier, because previously it was like, all right, I got to bring my computer to the Genius Store and then get them to do it. Now you don't have to, which is kind of nice.
It'll be interesting to see how it works, because Windows moves everything around in every revision.
It's true.
So, but
I believe the Windows migration doesn't work on XP. I think it's just Vista and 7.
Yeah, XP's pretty old anyway.
There was something else that they said was only going to work. Oh yes, the iCloud will not work on XP. But anyway,
we'll get there.
So next up is iOS 5.
Yeah, which we're both.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm
looking forward to it.
I'm not all super happy and super stoked. I'm not disappointed they're waiting till the fall or anything like that. But what I said to you, it's a pile of features. I'm going to use almost all of them.
Yes.
It's not like, when 4 came out, I was like, well, whatever, backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's
cool. Multitasking, but
yeah, which I still really don't use.
True.
But it's this time there's a pile of really usable features, and just so many of them.
The first thing they did was they revamped their notification system.
Thank God.
Which was in most need of revamping.
Yes.
Of all the, it was really the thing that was lagging behind the most.
So basically, you've got your notifications are going to pop up at the top as kind of like a little bar.
Yes.
With little icon from the app it's from, short description.
We're going to be honest with you. They stole this from Android.
It's the same.
It's just prettier and better implemented than Android.
Yeah, and even that's up for debate.
It's
not
true.
better than, but pretty. It's still not even that nice looking. It doesn't feel Apple. The pull down thing doesn't. I like it, but it doesn't feel. Anyway, so that's you see your notification. You want to check it out. You can pull down from the top. You get weather in there and stock.
Weather and stock's down. But what's interesting is that I've heard that they are opening up the widget API to developers.
See, now that would be nice.
Which I think could be awesome, because it will give us some of the ability that Android has to put widgets on the desktop. We won't have as much functionality, but it would be great if there would be some third-party apps that could access, various social networks or things like that.
Or your top Facebook updates or things like that. So, that's going to be in there, and all your stuff will show up there. It's kind of nice the way they baked it in. You can get rid of them with there's little X's to keep.
What also is interesting is that there's a lot of control over the notification system. You can choose how many notifications to show on a per app basis and how they're going to be handled and stuff like that. So the drop-down bar is pretty cool.
Yep.
If you're in an app, instead of the window popping up, pausing what you're doing, and stopping you from whatever you're doing, you'll now just get a sort of rather unobtrusive little bar that pops up at the top. They'll just tell you, okay, you've just got an email from so-and-so in the first line of the email, or a text or whatever. And if you tap on it, it'll take you to that application. Or if you just wait, it'll disappear, and then it'll end up in your notifications box.
Yeah.
Now, if you go back to the lock screen, you're going to see those notifications there, which is pretty cool. And if you swipe across it, it will bring you into that.
So you got a new text, it'll show you, messages, Quinn Brown, yada yada.
Yeah.
Swipe, I'm in, then I can reply to you or whatever. Which is nice, because as opposed to box pops up, I only get 3 lines of the text. Swipe, now I'm at the home screen. Now I got to load it in. Now I got to select you. And, so it's a little snappier. I mean, they could have done more.
I'm still holding out for when I can instant reply to messages.
You might be holding out a while.
It's true. Yeah. I still feel like that's a bit of API code that Apple should let some third-party developers, because there are some great city applications. I live on iReal SMS. I will probably still be jailbroken because I still want to have that.
iOS 5's already been jailbroken.
Which is true, yes. iOS 5's already been proven to be jailbroken. They did not fix the bootloader issue. So, good high hopes.
Speaking of messages, iMessage.
Yes.
Basically, if you know what BBM is, it's the same thing,
yeah,
except a little tiny bit better, because you don't have to exchange pins anymore.
It just recognizes that you're talking to someone who has an iOS device.
I believe it's because when you make an Apple ID with your phone, it immediately registers your phone number with your Apple ID.
It's true.
So it's got this big database. So it all works out very nicely without you having to do anything.
Yeah. If you're using an iPad or an iPod Touch, it bases it on your email address.
Which should be on the same account, hopefully.
Yeah, you might have to have it. It should all work. I don't know that you have to set up contacts. I think it's just supposed to work.
It basically, the idea is it's going to be exactly like, so if you have an iPhone, I have an iPhone.
Yeah.
I go to send you a text.
Yes.
It's actually going to recognize that you're an iOS 5, and it'll just send you an iMessage instead.
Yeah, so you're not using a different application. You're using the same messages application. It's now called iMessages, and it's just going to say, oh, you're an iPhone iMessages.
Yeah.
You're not an iPhone regular SMS.
And it's all the same. The only way you can tell the difference is text is in green, like it always has been.
Yeah.
iMessage is in blue.
Yes.
Not that it matters, but it's nice because you don't really have to think about it.
It's true. But what this is nice is that someone like myself, I don't get picture and video messaging for free. So if I am sending that stuff to someone who's on an iOS device,
Yes,
now
you can
free.
do picture, you can do video, you can do contacts, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can send back contact information. The
It's
carriers
good.
aren't happy, but
Well, what was
BlackBerry's been-
interesting? What was interesting is that the carriers found out about iMessage the same day we all found out about iMessage, and the
Yeah.
carriers like, "You can't do this to us," and Apple's like, "Absolutely, we can."
Well,
This is-
BlackBerry's done it.
You know, like
it has it for years.
like
right?
you should have no control over this, and it was kind of good. Like a lot of the tech companies were talking, or a lot of the tech bloggers were talking about. It's good to see that Apple's not letting the carriers influence software decisions.
Yes, and I mean, it will use a data. So you need data connection if you're on a phone.
For sure.
You can't have no data connection because it won't
And
work.
if you're using an iPod Touch or an iPad,
you can be on Wi-Fi.
You got to be on
whatever.
Wi-Fi,
or if you have a
obviously.
3G iPad.
Yeah.
But I think basically this is a popular thing because that's why a lot of people are staying on BlackBerry. I don't think you're going to see them migrate
No,
because BlackBerry people who are still on BlackBerry now are just
they're BlackBerry people.
they're BlackBerry people, like what you want, right? But it's something that brings them up to the same. That you can't say, oh, I'm not getting an iPhone because I want BBM. Well, one more thing.
They made some significant updates to Safari.
Cool updates.
Tab browsing in Safari,
Nicely
which is going to
implemented.
be really great on the iPad.
Yeah, because I was browsing on the iPad the other day, and I was going back and forth between a website and like a web store,
Yeah.
comparing stuff, and it's annoying to go into that menu. So it's just
sure.
nice bar, more or less like Safari on the PC.
Yep.
Private browser mode,
Yep.
so it turns kind of.
And what I'm really excited for is the new reader mode, which basically just pulls the photos and the text out of an article and then makes it much easier to read.
And there's a read it later option, which is exactly Instapaper.
Yes. But what's cool is it automatically syncs between all your devices.
Yeah.
So you say read it later on your iPad, you pick up your phone a couple minutes later, it's there, you can keep reading it there. Now, what's also neat is that they've updated iBooks to do the same thing. So you put a bookmark in iBooks, and you pick up your next device, and it remembers where you were.
Which, hey, now iBooks has all the features that Kindle's had since it launched.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. And lastly, they did some good changes to the camera because
Yes.
the iPhone right now is the second most popular picture-taking device,
Which they like
according to Flickr.
Yeah.
And Flickr's a good source for that. Lots of
Yes.
users on
Yeah.
Flickr, lots of photos on Flickr.
So, few things. They added the grid lines.
Yes. They added grid lines, they added cropping, rotation, red eye reduction, and their auto enhance, which is going to correct for like skin tones
Yeah.
and improve contrast and stuff. But what's really cool is that you don't want to pull your phone out, unlock it, launch the
No.
app, wait for it to load because the picture's gone by then. So what they've done now is if you double tap your home button on the lock screen, the camera's going to pop up and you push the volume button to take a picture, which
Finally.
is interesting because Camera Plus came out and did this, and they made a little script that if you typed it in your Safari window, you'd enable this volume taking. And they got pulled down, and Apple went on this tirade about people
Yeah.
are going to confuse, and it won't make any sense, and people are going to get lost.
Same thing with the iPad Switch, right?
Yeah, and then they did that.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, no, we won't get confused. That makes sense.
You don't want to hold your thing this way and then have to push the screen.
It's hard.
This just makes more sense. You get a more stable shot. You're probably going to get the shot you want as opposed to having to,
And what's interesting is that a lot of people were worried that you double tap that, you'd have to type in your passcode and then take a picture, which you don't have to.
No, yeah.
You can take a picture, but you cannot jump into the album.
Yeah, so all it does
So if
is-
someone's using it to take pictures that you don't want to, all they can do is take pictures. They can't look at them or get to those pictures after.
Yeah, and it can't get to your other pictures.
Yeah.
So if I've taken a pile of pictures with my phone unlocked and then I lock it and then you go grab it, you can't look at the other pictures that are already there. So I think it's a good implementation. There's a pile of other stuff. They tried to make the Game Center thing again. I think Game Center is the stupidest thing they've ever done.
Yeah, that's true.
They go, oh, we've got more users than Xbox Live. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a Game Center user and I've never opened the app.
That's true.
But anyway, they tried to tout that. Tons of little features.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting update.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, like we said about OS X Lion, it was a lot of, these are things that we should have,
Yeah.
so we've put them in there. They're not really innovations, we just should have them.
Like you can have the LED flash.
The LED flashes when you
blink
get
for
messages and
notifications,
stuff.
which is on every Android phone.
You can also
but-
do custom vibrations.
Yeah,
you can
which is
tap out
kind of
custom
neat.
vibrations.
Yeah. You can change your mail and your text and your calendar things independently now, the sounds, which I know I've wanted for a long time, but
true.
now you can do it.
I think my favorite new feature is they've built a new reminders app, which is like a to-do list. But the
Yep.
coolest part about it is it will use geolocation, and you go, okay, I need to do this task when I leave work tomorrow. So you punch in what your work address is, and you tell it when I'm leaving, and then as you're leaving your work, it goes, you're here, boom, notification,
Yeah.
you get reminded. Because I put things in, and then I leave, and I'm halfway away from where I need to be. I'm like, it's too late now.
Yeah.
So that's
I
pretty
think it's
cool.
clever. I can't think of another service that does that, and I can't see why not.
It's true.
There's no reason there's no app that does that. It's a really innovative for that, for sure.
And finally, their last bit of announcement was iCloud, which is now replacing MobileMe.
Yeah, so MobileMe's gone. If you had a MobileMe account, don't worry.
You've been upgraded by default to June of next year.
Yeah, so you're good. You're in the clear. Up front, everything on iCloud's free.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
So you get email syncing, calendar syncing, contact syncing, which are the big things I use with MobileMe and relied on. But they've now added iDocuments, which is going to use things like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote and sync that to the cloud, as well as making that API available for other applications to sync up to that.
What they did with iCloud is other than even just the documents, there's a pile of APIs available to access that cloud interface.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So you might see, Documents to Go could do it, or there's any app could take advantage.
So that allows
of it,
you wireless syncing of your content between your iOS devices, including the computer.
Yeah, and it'll do your books from
Yes.
iBooks. It'll do
It's got the new
apps.
photo stream as well.
Yeah.
So what this allows you to do is basically it'll save up to 1,000 photos on the service for up to 30 days, and then they can be downloaded to your other devices. What we forgot to mention is that with iOS 5, it's now a computer-free system.
Yes.
You don't need to plug into the computer anymore. You can set it up, use it without having a computer.
to the point where it'll activate without going to the computer.
Yep.
Set it up. You can Wi-Fi sync.
You can Wi-Fi sync, so they're really getting rid of cords everywhere, which is good.
Which is good because it takes forever to sync on iTunes, like forever.
Yeah.
To the point where it locks up my computer. So if I can just do that at night while my phone's charging and I don't have to have it unplugged into my computer,
For sure.
all the better.
So they've also added their iTunes in the cloud, which has 2 tiers. The first tier is any paid music you have that you've bought in iTunes, you can get access to.
And basically how that works is, let's say I bought it all on my computer.
Yes.
I'm on my iPhone, I'm at work. I want to download one of the songs. It has a log of all the songs that I own.
Yes.
And then I can click the little cloud download button and it'll start downloading it for
Yes.
me. And the difference in this service is, since you bought those songs from Apple, they already have the songs.
Yes.
So, like Amazon and Google are making you upload
And they already
all
have
your
the
stuff.
record that those songs been purchased.
Exactly. So that it'll just start working if you have an Apple ID and if you've used iTunes
Yeah.
before. So a good benefit compared to Google, where you got to sit there and upload all your stuff.
Now, the flip side of this is, as we talked about in last week's episode, what about users like us who have thousands of songs that we've ripped off of CDs?
Which are legitimately purchased, but they're ripped off.
And everyone
CDs.
expected that this was just going to be too bad.
Yeah.
But they've come up with a middle ground for that, which is in certain ways very interesting.
Yes.
And what they've done is they're charging $25 a year for what they're calling iTunes Match, and it allows you to it references all the files you have in your library, which only takes a couple minutes, and then says, okay, here's all the songs we currently as Apple have digital versions of, and anything they're missing you can then choose to upload to the system to make up the difference.
Yeah.
Now, what's cool about this is that if you've got a large library that they also have in their library,
Which is likely, they have a big library.
and you've got a lot of stuff encoded at 128, 192 kilobytes per second, they automatically get upgraded to 256 kilobit version that they currently offer to download.
Yeah, which is cool. And basically, the only thing I'm disappointed about is there's no streaming anywhere there.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why they coerced the record labels into what they did.
It's
into
true.
Essentially giving away all this free music for $25 a year.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I can't just start streaming a song.
You have to
I have to
download
download the whole thing, then open up the music app and start playing.
So it remains to be seen whether it's going to be super useful for everyone. I mean, Scott and I both talked about the idea of just doing it for the first year so that we can re-download any of our crappier quality tracks as higher quality.
And then, play around with it, see what the limitations are, see if it's worth it.
I mean, for $25 a year, it's worth trying at least once.
This is not shipped. Okay, iCloud worldwide, as soon as it ships,
It should be fall.
Save iTunes.
Yes.
That's U.S. when it releases.
And we're expecting to see it in Europe and Canada in the 2012 timeframe.
Yeah, so don't, and then this is all coming fall.
But you will get
so
the rest of all the iCloud
document
functionality.
sync, photo sync.
Yeah.
Photo sync supported on PC too, which is cool.
Yeah, which is neat.
So that'll actually push to your PC and your pictures folder.
Yeah, all
is,
of these functions will sync to your PC.
Yeah,
as well.
which is great. I think.
But you can't do it if you have XP.
Which you shouldn't. Really, and if you have Vista, reevaluate that as well and go to Windows 7.
It's true.
But it means Apple's done the smart play and going, the majority of our iOS users don't have Macs. So they want to use these services too, right?
Yeah.
So pretty good offerings. iCloud, I think I'm overall a little disappointed in.
I'm happy only because I was.
It's free now.
It's free, and I wasn't paying for it, but I had to do things to get it, and now I
Yeah.
don't. So I'm happy because I can
Yeah.
just keep using my service.
But I mean, if you're the guy who's been using Flickr and you've been using Google to sync your contacts and calendars and email,
you might
and
not
things
gain
like
a
that,
whole lot from this.
it might be a little easier, a little less work, but if you're used to doing your thing, you might not gain all that much. But wait and check out the iTunes service when it comes out for sure.
And we'll see OS X Lion sometime in July. Digital download only,
Yeah,
but $29.
yeah, which is not bad.
And you get they've upped because of this sharing system. You now get 10 authorized devices as opposed to 5.
Yeah, which is
And so if you buy that Leopard, you can now install it on 10 computers.
yeah, which is
They've
who's
basically
gonna own more than 10
they've null and
computers?
voided their family plans.
yeah, which is fine. I mean, especially for a $30 price point.
Absolutely.
I mean, we get charged $90. Like I don't know. And it's 4 gigs, so Canadians suck it up. You can't go get it anywhere else. Maybe you go on a public Wi-Fi or something. But the good thing is, from there out, on iOS and Mac, the updates are going to be Delta updates.
Yes.
So you're not going to get, like on iOS, you're not going to get a big package that's the entire new operating system.
Yeah.
You're going to get much smaller updates over the air.
Yes, over-the-air iOS updates.
That are just the changes, which finally Apple. Yeah, I hope they do that with iTunes, which I don't think they will.
And what's also interesting is for the jailbreak community, that probably means there's going to be less playing that cat and mouse game because they're only going to be updating differences, which probably won't block off the.
That's true. Yeah,
polls.
that's interesting.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of our WWDC wrap-up. It also brings us to the end of the show this week.
Yes.
As per usual, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us on Twitter at almost_Friday.
And don't forget to check out the Manfrotto Bag Contest. Go to the almostfridayshow.com and episode 62 to check out the rules for the contest. And if you want to shoot us an email to let us know what you thought about WWDC or E3, you can do so at contact@almostfridayshow.com.
So until next time, everything's going to the cloud.
Cloud, man.
Man, I'm going to have to get bread from the cloud or something. I'm going to buy groceries from the cloud. Go outside, it's supposed to be raining down on me.
Yeah, what happens when it rains?
Just get hit with a hard drive.